Set big goals. Maybe not everybody wants to be the best SDR, but what is it that you want? I know what I want to be. Yeah, I want to be the top SDR. I want to get President's Clubs. I hear you getting trips to Costa Rica or things like that. So I want to do that. Why wouldn't I want to be the best version? Not be my final destination, right? This role, but I'm gonna make the most of it while I'm here.
Marcelino, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing, my man?
What's going on, Joseph? I appreciate you inviting me on first and foremost, man. Good to be here.
Absolutely. It's not every day that we get an America Ninja Warrior on the channel. And so I'm very excited to have you here. That's something that if you did not catch us that little preview before, we're going to dive deep into the story. And so if you've been here for a while, you know how these conversations go. We start from the boots, symbolic of the journey one takes to get to where Marcelino is. And then we take it all the way to the brain, symbolic of the mindset that he has, not only to land a job in tech, but to scale from there. So without further ado, I'm going to take myself away and I want you to talk about your story, talk about where you were born and raised, and we'll just take it from there.
Well, my story begins. I was born in California, but I grew up here in Chicago, the beautiful windy city, and yeah, it was raised by a single mother. Pretty much, my father was in my life till about 7 years old, and then after that, it was pretty much just my mom raising me and my sister. Went to CPS, Chicago Public Schools. I was just a neighborhood kid, man, getting into trouble, the usual stuff, hanging out with my friends. But my dream was always to be my dream was to be a professional athlete. I grew up in Chicago, so we had Jordan. So whether basketball or football, I knew one of those was going to be my path. So I played sports all my whole life. Really excelled in sport. High school, senior year, got a couple injuries, and then that's when like the whole sports thing was out of it, and I had to start thinking about a different career path. And I tried out college. I went to school actually but I realized that wasn't for me right away. So I started working. I got into retail sales, just working for uh, Best Buy, then AT&T. Um, was pretty good at AT&T. We got paid on commission. That was my first experience in sales. It was all good until one day I walked into work and then I had this crazy severe emergency, and I had something called chronic cluster headaches. So I got diagnosed with that, and that's when I had to focus on taking care of my health, because at that time I had put on a ton of weight. I was close to, believe it or not, 300 pounds. And then I really had to leave that job because it was completely stressful, stressing me out. I wasn't eating correctly. I was eating poorly. But it was from there that I had to really focus on what am I going to do next? What's my next move in life? So, um, I did what anybody else who loses 100 pounds. I lost 100 pounds, and then I got certified to become a personal trainer. So I started my own fitness company. I ran that for a good 7 years here in Chicago. I even had my own gym. I opened it about 6 months prior to 2020. So it was all good. Everything was going successfully. And that's when the pandemic hit. And I had to really, the whole story, there's a lot of layers to it. But, I started off with a dream of becoming an athlete. And then I got into working. And then, like I said, my health took a toll on me. So that's when I pivoted back into taking control of my health, and like a staple of health. Started eating better, started exercising daily. Um, but yeah, during that time when I made that transition, I forgot to mention this, Joseph. I There's a little small detail to this story I left out. Um, I I became an American Ninja Warrior. So I don't know if you're familiar with the show American Ninja Warrior, but essentially, yeah, I got on American Ninja Warrior and I competed for 4 seasons. And during the time I was running my own business, competing on American Ninja Warrior, and up until the pandemic hit, and that's when decided to pivot into tech.
Hey there, thank you so much for watching this video. This video is actually sponsored by Course Careers. So whether you're interested in breaking in as a tech sales representative, if you're interested in actually doing IT or digital marketing, not only do they have free introductory courses for you right now, go to the description and check that out, but they also have $50 off that you could get through me, Joseph 50. That's right, $50 off through Joseph 50. So if you're interested in getting into that course, any which one, whether it's again tech sales, IT, or digital marketing, look no further. Go down to the description below, click on the link, and sign up right now. What are you waiting for? We're going to definitely dive deeper into your story. You're from Chicago, not only home of the deep dish pizza, but they got some ballers from your place. They got, of course, the great Isaiah Thomas. You have Derrick Rose, you have Anthony Davis,
Yep.
and that's just a few of the greaters. And talking about basketball, was that your sport of choice, or was there another sport that you really were into?
No, my sport of choice was football. Basketball, I played street ball, but I never really played organized. I was good in it, but football was my number one. Basketball was my second love, and I love them both kind of equally, to be honest with you. But I figured it was easier for me to get to be a professional football player because there's a lot more football players on the team than basketball, so a lot more available spots. That's just the thought I had for it.
That is the truth. There's a lot more. And what position did you play?
For football, I played wide receiver. I played free safety. Yeah, I started both sides. I was all city. I was really like, that
Ooh.
was it. That was my mindset. Like, I'm going to play professional football. And then, like I said, I got sidetracked with some injuries and I was lost after that. It crushed my dream. I was like, I can't play football. I started getting concussions, things like that.
Ooh.
And that's when I was like, I need to quit. I need to do something that's not as high impact.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just started working and going to school, but school was going to college was never for me. I dropped out maybe 3 times, man. I know I'm from Windy City, so the college dropout, home of the college dropout. Shout out to Ye, but
Oh, yeah.
I dropped out of 3 different schools because I was always going for like business or engineering, things like that. But I never found something, and it just was such a long process to go all 4 years. That's what's so crazy about me finding out about these boot camps and what really changed my life and starting a career and becoming a professional, learning that we could do boot camps. That really changed the whole game for me. So shout out to Course Careers, the whole alumni, Troy, everybody. That really is a game changer for myself, but so many different people. I meet people every day. They ask me how I got into tech, and I'm like, I'm referring people like all the time. I feel like I'm an employee of it, but I'm really just a student who went through that course. So yeah, that really changed the game for me.
I think a lot of people that have found success within course careers are the same way. I was the exact same way, where I literally was taking my time coaching people when I got into tech. That I was literally telling people about it once I got a job. I'm like, listen, y'all need to get in this because it honestly changed my life, and I think that, and I could see it did the same for you as well. Especially when you have to consider the pivots that you had to make in life. Now, before we get there, I want to go back a little bit to what you talked about when you were working, because you did something as well. You worked in B2C sales like I did. I did solar sales, but you did
Mm.
sales with B2C, but you're working in more of the telecommunications area. How did you find that working in that environment? What did it teach you about sales?
One thing it taught me about sales. So B2C, definitely from B2B is some differences. I wasn't even aware of B2B when I was working with, AT&T. I didn't realize, such a big difference, but it taught me how to communicate with a diverse group of people. You work with so many different people, and I was growing up in Chicago. You grew up in hanging out with people in your neighborhood. You talk a certain way. You guys are, you act like everybody in your neighborhood. But when I was working like downtown, I was working like a more affluent neighborhood. So now I'm
Mm.
interacting with wealthier people, people from different backgrounds that are a little more entitled and things like that of that nature. So I had to learn how to communicate effectively to different groups of people. And that's really the number one skill is being able to communicate. And I think communication is like 85 to 95% listening, not only with our mouths, but we communicate with our ears. So learning how to effectively call it active listening. When somebody's speaking, being able to, like you're doing here, just nodding your head, okay, and then repeating it back in your head and really taking in that information. Because a lot of times when we communicate, especially where I grew up, it's about just talking. Yeah, you don't even care what the other person. You're just waiting for your turn to
Yeah.
speak. So you got to get it in when you can. So I had to learn, true communication, and that's when I became a better salesperson. It wasn't really about learning these sales skills. They taught us ABC, always be closing. They taught us all these different techniques. But really, one book that stood out that I read after AT&T was How to Win Friends and Influence People. I actually read that before course careers. It's one of the assigned reading in course careers. That's what's so dope about this course is they assign these books that are not only sales, they're good for life. So How to Win Friends and Influence People, it teaches you that it's all about the win-win. That was the one thing that really transformed a lot of my life, was going into a conversation of sales, right? It's not about you getting upper hand, like, oh yeah, I got the best of that situation, I really took all their money or whatever it may be. A lot of people that I used to work with were like, oh yeah, I really got over on them. It's about getting a win-win,
Mhm.
be walking away from that transaction feeling like, man, that was a great experience. That's great. They really listened to what we needed and they gave me that. So I think that's one of the things that really helped me, even after AT&T, is I started my own business entrepreneur, and I was able to run that 7 years in a job. I never worked, like, no job at the time.
Wow.
And I think the only thing about entrepreneurship, which I know on YouTube, that you hear a lot of people say it's one or the other. You either work a job or you're an entrepreneur. You're all in, right? You got to grind. You go all the way in. But now I realize with tech, why not do both? And that was the big high moment that allowed me to pivot, was like I could be an entrepreneur and I could work a job at the same time, and that job is going to be seed money. That job is going to give me a sound foundation,
That's right.
so it's going to continue the dream. And that would be one thing that I would change differently from me starting my own business, is I dove in and I quit my job completely. And
Mhm.
it
Oh,
was it
wow.
was very stressful, because when you have to, your dream, do something you love just for money, it kind of takes away from the joy and the passion.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're able to work a job in tech, a job that, and these jobs are in tech, come on, we working from home most of the time. You got our desk, we got everything set up. It's pretty smooth. It's the environments are more flexible. It's not like retail, which I worked before, where you had to work holidays and weekends and all of these things, late hours. Tech, it's
Mhm.
pretty laid back. You get all these holidays, most of the times unlimited PTO. So you could really work in tech and you could build your dream at the same time. As you're doing with this YouTube channel, I don't know if that's your dream, but you're able to build and have time for these are things that you really enjoy.
There's so much nuggets you said there. And there's so much nuggets you just deposited into the bank account here. And I want to kind of back to one of the things you said, effective communication. And Marcelino, that's the reason why I started the channel, was because I wanted to grow in my discovery skills as an SDR. If you have taken course careers, or if you're familiar with the sales cycle, first thing you do is you're doing research, right? And then you're doing prospecting, and then you're doing discovery. Well, how are you
Hmm.
going to have better discovery than taking time to talk to people, taking time to, as you said, do active listening of understanding versus the sake of getting your point across. And so there's a lot of great things. And if you are interested in anything that Marcelino just said, whether it was how to win friends and influence people, how that impacted his life and his business, or even understanding the difference between B2C sales versus B2B sales, where, like Marcelino said, B2B sales, it's about a mutual, let's see if this fits. Let's see if this partnership fits, because it's not a one-time purchase. We're going to have a continuous relationship here, versus B2C, where it could be a transactional one-time uh transaction, and there's not sometimes care or concern on what happens after that, instead of me getting my money, right? Would you agree, Marcelino? So
That's 100%, hundred
so
percent, Joseph.
that's, I think we cracked the code there. I think we cracked the code because a lot of times people think of sales as, oh, this is the sleazy car salesman. I'm sorry, car salesmen's out there. I'm not trying to pick on you, or any type of salesperson that's just trying to get a quick buck, because there's not a continuous relationship sometimes with those transactions. Like, I'm done. I got you, and that doesn't feel good to be taken advantage of at all. Nobody wants to be taken advantage of. But in B2B sales, there's a partnership. There's understanding that this is a continuous relationship that we want to have. So we're going to make sure this is a good fit. If you want to find out more about how both Marcelino and myself have learned about those skills that have not only helped him with his business or helped me land a job in tech and with this channel, but really could help you with your life, go ahead and click the link below. Sign up for Course Careers. You go ahead and use my promo code Joseph50. It definitely is a life-changing decision, and I could say that true for myself. Now, I'm gonna go back to your story, Marcelino, because there's something important that did happen there. You're learning about those. A lot of those skills were transferable because you're basically still dealing with human beings at on the other side of the phone, right? But in life, we do have obstacles, and in life we do have hurdles to climb over. And for you, it was your health. You're talking, can you kind of talk a bit more, because I think by you going deeper into that section, you actually might be helping somebody who might be struggling with their health, struggling with stress. Can you talk about the stresses that you were dealing with at that particular time?
Yeah, I know this is a tech channel, but part of our best versions and being able to be the tech salesperson or whatever, we have to make sure we're taking care of health. I love our health is
Mm,
wealth, right? And although I was in a place when I was working with AT&T, I was hustling. I was working like 60 hours a week, Joseph, but I was getting money. That was my first taste of commission sale. But it came at a price. I was putting my health on the back burner because I
mm,
was working so many hours. I wasn't sleeping. And then I had to wake up early. So I was sleeping 4, 5, at the most 6 hours a night. Also at the time, I a lot of fast food because we didn't have time. I wasn't taking the time to prepare meals and things like that. So, I had something that's called the window diet. I drove up, got my food through a window. And you can see now, like, at the time, like I said, I was almost 300 pounds, Joseph.
wow.
My health was really, I was in about 185, 190 my whole life. I got up to 300 pounds. Right around the same time, I had my first, my one and only. Um, so it was really about him. It was really about doing whatever it
Mm,
takes to make money to take care of him. But how could we truly take care of our kids if we're unhealthy, if we're in the hospital, we're sick?
that's good.
So you have to also be able to balance, yes, making money, but you also got to take care of your health for the long term. I want to be around to see my kids, live their dreams and do everything they want to. So you have to be able to balance. And one thing that I started implementing into my lifestyle is very simple, is when you wake up first thing in the morning, drink a because a lot of times we're dehydrated and we just throw some junk, some sugar in our bodies. Our body needs water. If you do that, that's going to help you. It's going to help with your hunger. It's going to help with your appetite, so you're not as hungry, but it's also going to energize you first thing in the morning. And then also another thing I do is I drink a green smoothie. I throw some greens in there, throw a banana, throw some mangoes or some berries, something like that, and then you could throw some coconut water. Simple. You have that, and then I really don't eat a full meal until about 1 o'clock. And I like that because in sales, you got to go out and hunt. So I don't eat my first meal until I've gone out and prospected and hunted and got, booked a couple demos for the day. And then that's, I feel good. Then I'm like, okay, I earned this. So it's almost like, sales is really hunting, especially as an SDR, BDR, we're prospecting. So if you go wake up first thing in the morning, you eat a big breakfast, you didn't earn it. You didn't go out hunting, right? Like, so think about ancestors had to go out and hunt for their food. So same thing with us. We keep that mentality. We're going to be hungry and I feel like I work better. I'm more like enthusiastic when I'm talking with people, and it just makes me more effective at my job as well. So yeah, just simple little things. And the last thing I would say is we're sitting down. I just bought this standing desk. I just got and I got from IKEA. You crank it up.
I used to have that at work.
Yeah, but the standing desk makes a difference. And then just do something like 10 squats or 10 push-ups every hour on the hour. We're sitting, just get up and move your body. And that's gonna be a huge difference. And that'll keep you from developing these degenerative diseases as they're called, because most of it comes from a sedentary lifestyle. That means sitting down. If you're sitting 8 to 10 hours a day and you're not getting movement, you're not stretching, you're going to start to develop things, and it's bad. Trust me. You don't want to develop cluster headaches, diabetes, these things like that.
Yeah.
Hey family, it's Joseph here again. Now you have heard me talk about how tech sales has changed my life. I actually want to introduce you to another career that, if you decide to go into it, truly is recession proof, and that is cybersecurity. Level Careers is a platform similar to Course Careers that is self-paced and allows you to obtain knowledge and education in cybersecurity, and get this, without prior experience or a degree. That's right. And so you definitely want to get into that. And if you are interested in learning more about cybersecurity, go ahead and click the link below. It's in my description, and use my promo code Joseph10. That's right. Use my promo code Joseph10 in order to save 10% off of the purchase price of that course. So without further ado, I'm not going to delay you. Go click on the link, check out the free introductory courses, and change your life today.
Oh, I was being your choir just now. I was agreeing with you, 'cause you don't want to develop those things, man.
Yeah,
Like, it's so true. Yesterday, I actually made it a point to do at least 3 walks. I didn't put a number on it. I said whatever I can, because the weather was so nice. Get out of the house and walk. And so
take a walk. Yes.
yeah, the beginning I walked, I was like, oh, a little bit over 2 miles, and then this because I had a football field not far from my house. And then in the afternoon, got a phone call, so I'm like, let me go for a walk then. But because you're so right, and in fact, I don't know if I don't know if you realize this, but you kind of created a tech sales diet slash training program just now, where you gotta remind, you can just put it, if you want to like pin this point, guys, go ahead and pin it right now. You come back to this, hey, what I gotta do? Gotta do 10 squats. All right, because it's so true. And even though I'm not even trying to make light of it, I'm trying to say this right here is good information, because we don't think about the fact that you're sitting at your desk as an SDR all the time and what that's doing to your body. They say it's
Exactly.
worse than smoking.
Right? It's crazy.
Man,
Yeah. That don't mean we're not endorsing smoking either,
no.
but
We're not at all, but just to see how much harm we do to ourselves without
yeah.
even knowing it. So get active, get active. But one of the things I actually wanted to point out to what you said, 60 hours a week, at least from my job and my experience, that's like, listen, nobody here working that hard. You need to go. They actually promote a healthy work and life balance. Have you experienced that at your job?
Yeah. Work-life balance is night and day from retail sales to C to B2B. Um, get a little deep here, but yeah, my pops passed a week ago, 7 days ago, stage 4 cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I was debating if I wanted to like even do this, but I was like, want me to go ahead and do this. Although he wasn't physically in my life, I started to develop a relationship with him later on, 20s and things like that. And, to communicate a lot more. But I was gonna come back to work the next day after he passed, after he transitioned, because I'm like, I literally just started this new job, my first 30 days, and then this was my first week of actually, on the sales, so first week on quota, second day on Tuesday, pops transition, my second day into this role. So I'm like, man, I gotta come back. I don't want to fall behind. My boss wrote me a message. She's like, I know you're, you're passionate about doing the job and being the best, but you need to take this time off. Go be with your family. She said, take time to about your father and just process everything. I'd rather have you do that, take your full, bereavement, and then come back. So I was like, I want to come back. I don't want to, be at home thinking about it. It's like, just do it. And I'm glad I took that advice, because I didn't realize how much I probably, when I had, by my family, I would go back to work and just work it off, just not think about it. but that catches up to you long term. Like we give our people their of in the grieving and honoring them. So I'm so glad I did that, um, because it really put everything into perspective of what I'm doing it for. Like I'm saying, I'm doing this. I got into tech so I could have better work life balance. So let me really do it. I said I got into tech so I could spend more time with my family. So let me really do that, and does give you that. I'm telling y'all firsthand. When my boss was like, "Go home. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Hold on, let me send a couple." She's like, "No, don't worry about it. The work is gonna be there." She's like, "You need to go be with your family." And that to me that's not only like a wonderful job. It's just beautiful. It's great leadership.
Yeah.
I feel like the leaders, they really understand that importance a lot more. So yeah, Joseph, sure you've witnessed it as well. But that work-life balance is different, and like I said, it gave me a time to really miss, and it puts it all into perspective. I'm on a long-term mindset, right? So, a couple days is not gonna get me to where I want to go long term. If I'm thinking 5, 10 years out, 20 years out, right? So yeah, put that family first, y'all.
Wow. That is so good. And I gotta say this as well. I always say this whenever somebody mentions a loss, whether it may be recent or even when they were a child. My condolences, because it just never goes away. It may feel like it gets a little bit easier, true, but it never goes away. I want to definitely acknowledge that.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And the other thing I want to say to that is it's so true. Like, this is actually a job where they expect and honor that. I heard a story. I won't say who it is. I remember the story well. This person was working in the liquor store. Their family member was rushed to the hospital. I think it was like their mother or somebody very, very. And the boss at the time was like, "Listen, you go, but you're not gonna come back to your job, whatever." Like, they
Hmm.
threatened them with their livelihood because, for whatever reason, in their mind, I guess they didn't think they were being honest or whatever. Anyway, that person ended up leaving that job and got successful afterwards, and so on and so forth. But, like, something similar that, like, happened to me, but it was even it wasn't necessarily a person that passed away, but it was basically that stressed, and I didn't know it. I wasn't, like earlier, not getting enough rest at that particular time, and I wasn't my best self, and I was a little bit irritable, I was a little bit moody. I mean, I was not myself, let's just say that.
Hmm.
And my manager caught it, and he's like, "Listen, you are getting enough rest, you're tired, you're taking off sometime anyway, take off the rest of the day." Like,
Hmm.
and it wasn't a scolding, it wasn't like, we're gonna punish you. It was more like, "Hey, I'm concerned about you." You and when you experience that, especially as a person of color, it's like, man, your humanity comes back. In the sense of that, like, your humanity is being recognized by somebody else. If you catch what I'm saying, it's just kind of a sense of like, man, I actually do care about my well-being,
Care about us is yep, exactly.
and it's not gonna affect my pay. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, pipeline, my quota, true, I might have to get but it's not gonna be negatively impacting my base. It's not impacting me as my employee or how my employee looks at me. My job is not necessarily on the line. All those different things is other reasons why I encourage people to get into this field. And, with that being said, the beautiful thing about your story is that through the ashes, the phoenix does rise. And you talk about it, how you were able to overcome with the cluster headaches and being almost 300 pounds, you were able to overcome that. And you were able to even open your own gym. Can you talk about that? The opening your own gym and what that led to with regards to Ninja Warrior and all the other things that came along with that?
Yeah. So how that happened is, I was working the retail job. Like I said, I was severely overweight. I was chronically sick. I'm probably sitting down home drinking a beer or something at the time, right? That was my daily ritual. Go home, have me a beer, watch some TV, watch some Netflix, whatever. So I'm watching the show pops on Ninja Warrior. I remember, and I'm looking at it. I told you I was an athlete in high school, but I was the furthest thing from an athlete at the time when I was watching it. I'm sitting there. My brother was visiting from California, and we watching it. I'm like, oh, this show's crazy. I'm like, man, I could do that. I used to do all that stuff in high school. I could do that. He looks at me, he's like, yeah, right. Never happened. And then like hit me. It was like, what? He's like, you? He's like, your time has passed. And this was like right after I had my son. I'm in my late 20s time. And he's like, yeah, your time has passed. But I
Oof.
took that as like fuel. I was like, and that little one comment, I'm not gonna lie, Joseph, like that woke me up every morning. I got up at like the crack of dawn, and I was like, you know what, I make a change, and for it was for my son, but also for myself. Like I got to do better. Like I want to do better. I want to be an example for him, and in order to, I think, do anything great in life, you have to set a big goal. And I knew I had to get healthy, lose weight for my son and for myself. But it would, when you say, "Oh, I want to lose 10 pounds," you 10 pounds, then what? Really gonna get you up in the morning and make you jump out of bed. But when you say like, "I want to do Ninja Warrior," or "I want to lose 100," something crazy, you have a goal so big, even if like they say you shoot for the stars, even if you miss, the moon. You know what I'm talking about. Shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you be among stars. So you shoot for a big goal, and whether you hit it or not, you're gonna make life, you know. And that's what I did. I believe it or not. So with from in 2 years of sitting on the sofa, when my brother said that, I started researching what it takes to become a Ninja Warrior. I approached it like school project. I'm not gonna lie, Joseph. I put a plan together.
Man.
Like we have to write it down. I wrote it down exactly what I wanted. I wrote down how I was gonna do it, and I used this. I came up with this thing. It's called Think, Write, Recite, Take Action. First, you got to think about what you want. So that's through meditation, right? You meditate, you really get clear in your mind what you really want to achieve. You write it down, you recite it through affirmation, and then the very last step, what a lot of people don't forget to do, or caught up with, is taking action. You take action on that. So I wrote it down, cited it. I am saying I was a Ninja Warrior before it even happened. And within from 2 years, I said I was going to do it. My birthday, 2 years later, is when I got the call, and I competed for the first time on Ninja Warrior. So that was on season 8. And then I competed 4 more times in 4 other seasons over the next. Also running a gym, and yeah, everything was good. Not gonna lie though, it wasn't the tech money.
Yeah.
It's hard. The thing they don't tell you is a lot of these ninjas, we have to fund our own. Transportation and travel and all of that. So I was funding my dream, but just not there's not really a lot of money. You can so many clients you can train in a day.
Yeah.
That's why being in tech and having the ability to get commission, and so you're not just trading your time for money. You're hitting them accelerators, and you're really maximizing on your time, is important. But yeah, to make a long story a little short, I competed on Ninja Warrior 4 times. I made it to the city final, or I made it to the finals, and the regional final. And my last year was in 2021. That's when I was decided to hang it up. And because I also closed down the gym, just the pandemic, it was eating through my
Yeah.
pockets. It was super hard to, it was hard on small business. I decided to shut it down, and I saw that opportunity in tech, and closed the gym. But that opened up another, like that opened so much. I had to pray, Joseph. Like I
Yeah.
was crying when I had to shut down the gym, but I didn't know what I was going to
Mhm.
do, because that was it. That's what I thought I was going to do the rest of my life.
Wow.
And it's easy because you get to the top of the mountain, right? You achieve your dream, but they don't tell you what happens next. I achieved
Mm.
my dream. I got to Ninja Warrior, and it's like I'm here, and it's like, what is next? I had to look at something bigger. I was like, well, I got my dream. What can I do to put me in a financially free spot? I want to, as they say, we create generational wealth. I wanted to build a legacy. I wasn't doing that by just for running a business. I was literally working just to pay off the business. I wasn't, accumulate wealth. So the big thing was for me from that point is I had to make a hard decision to say, hey, this isn't very profitable. This is not sustainable long term. This is not, it's going to get me financially free, and allow me to create generational wealth. So I had to look at, all right, what are the other options I had? And, you know, didn't have no degrees or nothing like that, Joseph. And it was literally, I left Chicago, right? I went on I bought a van. I traveled in the van for like 6 trying to figure out what I was gonna do. And along the way, I'm going and went to 26 states. I'm hiking up mountains. I'm camping out. I lived the van life, so that's another thing. There's a lot story. So, the van life for like 5 to 6 months. Just trying to figure out what my next move was.
Mm.
That the whole time I'm praying, talking to God, and just getting outside, meditating, and literally I was watching this. How I got into tech, crazy. I was searching um, tech boot camps, right, for kids because I wanted my son to learn coding, but I didn't like none of the courses or the instructors. So I was like, let me look up like, I'm Puerto Rican and black, so I'm looking up Latinos in tech. I'm looking up blacks in tech,
Yeah.
to try to find somebody that we could relate
Relevant.
to. Yeah, relevant.
You a
I
better word.
found
Relatable is a better word. I'm sorry. That was
Yeah,
a better word.
relatable. It's easier when you can learn from somebody who's experiences the same things, or you just to see an example of somebody. Up until that time, I didn't see it. So I was searching for classes for my son. He just turned 11 at the time, but I found the new Black channel, and that's I've seen he was with his story of going from driving Uber, being homeless, and all of that. And that hit me hard because at the time I was in the van. So I'm like, damn, I'm pretty much like, you know, I was really relating to his story. And then
Yeah.
he pivoted into the tech space. Um, it really opened my eyes that, tech, you don't have to just be near or, I had the sales background. I'm like, let me do this. I could do this. Once I learned about the unlimited earnings potential, the work-life balance, I was like, that's it. Find an idea in my head and decide on something. Like I did with the Ninja Warrior, I researched. I was like looking up career where I was thinking solutions engineer. What is it? Literally going to do solutions engineer, but then I looked at DR and the potential to rise, become an account executive, to even become like sales. I like coaching, sales coach, something like that. I saw the different opportunities, and that's when I locked in. I was just like, I could do course careers. I saw people doing it in like, a month, doing it 3 months. I'm like, okay, do this. So I locked in, and 21 days after me signing up for the course, I got through. I graduated in 21 days, got my certificate, and that's just
Yeah. No, that's great. I was about to say, I was like, how long did it take you? You said 21 days. You got it in 21 days. How long did it take you from after you completed the course to land a job?
so that was the crazy part. So I completed the course in December and I was like, yo, I remember the cool thing about course careers, they put you in these study groups, right? So you get like 5 or 6 people and you guys start together and you meet up once a week and you get to talk about the course, job search, all of that. So I remember we started with 6 of us. By the end, it's really like 2 or 3 of us that was just meeting. So it
Yeah.
was like me and like 2 other guys that were still like meeting. We graduated, like we pushed each other to finish at the same time. Shout out to Luckner. Me and Luckner, we finished at the same time. And then we're like, yo, we about to get this job in like, before the end of the month, we're gonna have like 5 on the table because I saw people doing it. So you
Hmm.
see a lot of times people getting jobs before the course is over. I was like, yeah, I could do that. All right. Truth is that didn't happen for me. It was a little more challenging. I believe it was just me not putting in enough applications. I think the big thing for me was I didn't have a LinkedIn presence before. And do LinkedIn. You don't use that for like, fitness, it was on IG and all of that for my previous business. So I had to get on LinkedIn. I had to learn and crack the LinkedIn code and algorithm and all of that. I'm sure, as you know, it's different,
Yeah.
right? And all of that. So um, it took me about, I think, 5 weeks. So I started job hunting really like January 1st of 20, this year. I started job hunting, locked in. I had an interview that first week, didn't get past the recruiter screening. They went with somebody more experienced. Then I had a week of no interviews. So then I'm thinking like, oh man, what's about to happen? And then I had like a hiring. I interview with him, and he's like, "All right, we're putting you to the final round." So I'm like, "Oh, I got this." I'm already celebrating like I got the job, and nope, the final view because it was that day. That's when I found out. That same day of the final interview, I found out my dad had stage 4 cancer, and
Oh,
I go into the interview, and the first thing one of the guys says on the interview on the panel, he's like, "Hey, Marcelino, you don't look too happy to be here." And that was literally like an hour after
ooh,
taking my pops to the hospital, and it was just like it kind of hit me. It kind of hit me the wrong way. And I went through the interview, and I guess I sold on the company, but I was like, I needed to get a job. I needed to get in the break. So I was like,
yeah,
I would take whatever at that point. Yeah, it got to me that he not knowing what was going on, but God has a plan, right? And
yeah,
had take something away without giving you something better in return. Forgot who told me that, but that I had to think about that because I was really crushed about that because I thought that's the one, right?
yeah,
So I put it behind me, and I looked at myself objectively. I'm like, okay, so what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do better? Okay, I need to optimize my LinkedIn. So I went in and I optimized my LinkedIn. I started using AI tools to create cover letters and things like that. And then I also the final thing is I got a mentor, and I posted about like the steps I
hmm,
took to break into tech, and it got a lot of traction. That one post, I think one of the things is I listed a bunch of different tech either content creators or mentors that I followed, and I got with the techers, and I got coaching. I had to go and reach out. You got to reach out to people. You got to ask for
yeah,
help, y'all. And I had to put my ego aside and say, okay, I don't know everything. What am I doing wrong? I had to humble myself and talk to these mentors. I had to schedule coffee chats. I said, let me get 10 coffee chats scheduled, for the next 2 weeks. And I did that. I talked with people who are already in the role, and that was the big change for me, was really reaching out to people and using LinkedIn as a source to get that job. LinkedIn, the resume, you could almost throw that out the window because the resume ain't gonna get you application. And the resume, it's about connecting with people and really being honest with yourself on what you need to do. I connected with one of the graduates from Careers. He's a solutions engineer at forget the brother's name, solutions engineer at HubSpot. But he told me this. He's like, do the job, right?
yeah.
And then I kept hearing that. I kept seeing it on LinkedIn, people posting the same thing. And I was just like, do the job. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I got to start prospecting. So I started prospecting. I started approaching hunt like I was already an SD. I did the job, and it's like magic. God rewarded me because then somebody reached out to me again and was like, hey, I got this job I think you'd be great for. And that was the one because that first interview,
Wow.
it was great. Then I interviewed with the sales manager, and she talked to me like a human. We talked about work-life balance. She asked me what
Mm,
was going on in my life. She didn't just say, "Hey, you don't look too happy to be here."
yeah,
Like it was a great experience, and that was the first time I felt that. And I think you know we should be looking at environments that really fit us as humans and where we're valued, not just the money we're going to get paid. Yes, that's important,
yep,
compensation, but you also want to take into account how you're going to feel going into work. I'm not, man, I love going into work. I love the product that I sell. I sell software that helps nonprofits fundraise and get more money. I have experience working with nonprofits. When I was an entrepreneur, I went into the schools, I went into community centers. And the one thing was, we have these big missions, but we never have the funding.
that's right.
We want to help people, but we got to help ourselves first. So yeah, that's the job that chose me. I feel like it found me. And yeah, from there, man, that's all.
No, and again, you're dropping nuggets, golden nuggets, man. 'Cause you said a lot, but one thing I want to kind of harp on real quickly is the fact that money is important, but it's not everything. And if you could find a company that provides an environment, a culture that is conducive to basically make, like you said, you're like, I actually like to go to work. I actually like the product that I'm selling. When you find something like that, it's valuable. And I had someone that I consider a mentor now say to me this. He said, it's great to kind of find me, right? But do not undervalue the value of relationships. Do not undervalue the value of networking.
Mm.
And so when you get into a job, find out who is where you want to be. Make that connection. Hey, what can I do to learn? Let that mentorship be a two-way street between the mentor and the mentee. Like, okay, here's some stuff I'm learning about AI that, hey, my mentor may not know about that. I want to help you out, mentor. Here's some stuff that I'm learning. You want to develop these relationships. You want to cultivate these things, because what's going to happen is that same mentor of yours can open doors to you for that dollar that you had the day before is now $10. So you definitely don't want to underestimate the value that if you find, especially in a company that has a great culture that may not have the dollars that you want right now. Don't underestimate that. Build relationships within that culture, because it'll take you a far way. And with
That's
that,
true.
yeah, man. When I heard that
100%.
gem, I was like, all right, wrote that down. I took that down to heart. And so with that being said, let's have like a fun, because I feel like everybody that I ask this question to, they're like, yeah, let's talk about it. The day of an SDR. Can you kind of paint a picture for those who have no idea what is the day in the life of Marcelino working in the company that you're working in?
Oh man, day in the life. Look, I got my whole day scripted out right here. But
Ooh.
being in an SDR, and if you can set a routine, get into the role, it's really going to be smooth. A lot of people say that prospecting, cold calling, all this stuff is hard. It's difficult. SDRs have, it can be, yes, but um, if you do the use your calendar, use the tools that you're given, it's really going to be smooth, and you're going to love what you do. You get to talk to people every day. You get to make connections. Like really, all I do is talk to people and help them with their business, help them with their missions, with their organizations. And it's fulfilling. I will say that it's a fulfilling thing. So I don't know if you want me to give you like the detail, but I'm gonna give you like how I see it.
What you're
I
comfortable
see
talking about?
it's a fulfilling job. You get paid well for. You get to work from home. You work in your PJs, because SDR most of the time we're not really doing video calls. So it's most of the time we just on the making phone calls. So we don't even have to be on Zoom a lot for the most. I don't know how it is with your company, Joseph, but for the most part we're just on the phone. So how I start my day um, by doing what fanatic. If you read Fanatical Prospecting, one of the key things I got from that book is protect the golden hours. And
Mm.
I use the early morning. I block out 1 hour for cold calling, or call blitz. Just for that first hour, I'm making calls. You get it out the way. Because a lot for most, that's the hardest thing, or the thing they fear the most. But for me, it's kind of fun because you never know what you're gonna get. I'm not gonna lie. People say cold calling is scary. It can be, but like honestly, it's kind of fun because I laugh if somebody hangs up on me, which it doesn't really happen as much as I thought it would. But like, for the most part, people are nice. They'll just say they're not interested, and then you're trying to help them, so you're not really trying to sell them anything. If you're going into with the mindset you're helping people, then you're not going to take it to heart. So yeah, I'm making calls, I'm researching, um booking meetings. I usually have meetings on my calendar already. Have a couple meetings before the day starts, so I'll research that organization, make sure I'm ready, prepare for the conversation. Just keeping my inbox tight. The companies, like the training. If you're with a good, that's another thing. When you pick a company, make sure they have talk about training. Ask about what their training is like. What's the training timeline? What's the continued education like? Because that is what's important to me. Because I don't just want to stay in this role. I want to be able to level up. I want to learn as much as I can in this
Facts.
role, I want to accomplish as much. I want to President's Club, hit records. I want to do as best as I can in this role, but I don't want to stay here. So definitely, give self time to learn the product. I took the full 30 days of training. I did make calls. I did start to build, prospect and build pipeline, but I talked to like engineers, I talked to AEs, I did a coffee chat with everybody on my team. That's one thing I'd recommend when you first start is set up a coffee chat with all your fellow SDRs. Learn doing, especially ones. You want to what is the top SDR doing? Why is one person, booking meetings a month and everybody else is
Mm,
booking 30 or whatever your number. I'm just throwing random numbers out
yeah.
there. So yeah, if you do that, you're gonna excel at your job. If you just talk to people that are doing what you want to do and doing it well and you learn from them, no need to recreate the wheel. Just follow that template.
That's so good, and it's so true. Like what we have a tech stack, part of our tech stack is gone. So
Mm,
listening to that we can listen to recordings from anybody in the company that's in the sales portion of it, and be able to say, okay, they did X, Y, and Z. I'm going to try that. And we oftentimes even you could often have strategy meetings among your peers. Say, okay, hey, let's just practice some cold calling. What do you do here? What objection do you handle here? Like, what do you say to this situation and that? And you don't I won't say a mastermind because masterminds are are a little bit different, but that's like a study group and you could find
mm.
so much valuable information through communication. And with that being said, I want to kind of, as we're looking to kind of wrap on this conversation, which honestly I think needs a part two, but we'll talk about that afterwards. But as we're putting a cap on this conversation for now, what would you say is a mindset someone needs to have in order to not only land the job like you did, Marcelino, but to scale from there?
Start with your why. Whether it's you feel you have kids, whether it's just to, we all have something deep in here that, wakes us up in the morning that pushes us to be our best version. So you have to channel that. You have to channel that. So whatever it is, whether it's looking at a picture of your kids in the morning, whether it's reading the Bible, whatever it is that gives you purpose and meaning in your life, start with that, and then there, um, make a plan, set big goals. Maybe not everybody wants to be the best SDR, but what is it that you want? I know what I want to be. Yeah, I want to be the top SDR. I want to get President's Club because I hear you getting trips to Costa Rica and things like that. So I want to do that. Why wouldn't I want to be the best version? Not be my final destination, right? This role, but I'm gonna make the most of it while I'm here. So
Mm,
look at what you're doing, just one piece of that bigger puzzle, right? Don't think that just because, oh, it's an entry level position, I'm just going to be average and do the bare minimum. Look at how can I do it different, how can I do it and add my own unique. I've only been in this role just over a month now, and I've already implemented something because I was using a technology um I was in a sales data tool, right? I was using a when I was job searching, right? But it's already something that I've taught other people on my team how to use because they weren't using this tool to research. So I've already brought something different. I'm new to the role. Yes, I'm learning. I don't know everything, but there's something that I know that able. So don't think just because you're new, there's not something that you can add of value. I've already added something value that's top rep at the company was like, yo, I'm using this first day. He's like, yo, I'm using this tool already. It's saving me so much time. It's like, thanks. So I was literally surprised like they weren't using that. And I was just like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm using this to reset. Yeah, go into the mindset of starting with your why and bringing something new to the table. Add your unique flavor. I'm an athlete. We are artists. I think somewhere. So bring your own flavor to it. Bring your own flavor. And it's sazon. Bring sazon to the mix. And
sofrito.
sofrito, papa. What you know about that?
Hey,
Okay, yeah, definitely. That's where you from? You from New York?
yeah, from New York. So we
Where
all a
where
melting pot over there.
what
Brooklyn, New York, originally.
Brooklyn BK.
Brooklyn
Shout
in
out
the
to
house. Oh
yeah,
man, so I love
BK,
my
man.
Orisoñando, and I love my pernil. Well, I actually stopped eating pork, so I'm not anymore.
Me
But the
too. Yeah.
chicharrones de pollo, I like. Yeah, I love my rose. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, my mom.
Those are talking that stuff. Wow.
That
Yeah.
that Boricua and that
Boricuas,
Dominican food.
yeah.
Yeah, it
That
speaks to
Caribbean,
me.
the island flavor, sir.
Yeah. My family's from the Caribbean. Well, Caribbean culture. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't mean to
Yep.
interrupt you, but we started talking about food. But but yeah,
Nah,
man.
man, it's about that time, right? We've been chopping it up for a while, man. It's been a great,
Oh,
great, great conversation with you, man.
likewise, that's exactly what it is. Finding that why is so strong. For me, it's like my wife, I don't want her to go back to work. I want her to stay longer home with the baby. I have T-minus 2 months before the baby was born. Actually, the baby was born before, but it happened like right after the interview. So that just sped me up a little bit more. But that was my why. So find your why. Find out what you want to do. Like Marcelino said, find that thing that you want to do that's going to really charge you to get in there and do your best. Because I like that line you said. You said you hear now. I'm paraphrasing. I wish I remembered, but basically like you're whatever, even though it's not what you want to be, do the best where you are right now. I think that's what you said, something like that. But that's such a good gem for us all to follow. So good, so
Definitely.
good. Well, that being said, I think we're gonna have a part 2, man. We're gonna have a part 2 for sure. We're gonna have something. We'll definitely bring you back for something, and we're gonna definitely talk more. But with that being
I'm
said, thank
down,
you.
man. I'm down for sure.
Come on now, come on now. Being said, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Tech Niche Tips. I'm your host, Joseph M. Smith. Until next time, I hope to see you on the other side. Take care, family.